Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. Bit of a weird news day, and I'll get into exactly why. And without further ado, let's start things off. Decentralized finance applications, or DeFi apps, are becoming what ICOs were in 2017 and 2018 and what stablecoins were in 2019. The advent of venture funds, increased social sentiment, and promises of world-changing technology are a been there, done that narrative in cryptocurrencies. This time, it's DeFi applications with their huge chest thumping, with some projects even promising 100% interest payout. So, for those of you who were not here several years ago within the cryptocurrency space, this is definitely worth noting. I have mentioned many times before, and I'm not sure if people simply roll their eyes when they hear me say these things. You know, the term history repeats itself, or history rhymes. We are rhyming very heavily right now with exactly what's happening within the cryptocurrency space. In 2016, as prices for the cryptocurrency space began to kind of teeter upwards, not really any skyrocketing kind of thing yet, the idea was proposed for new coins to start to be built on top of other coins. And that was like, whoa, what are you even talking about? And Ethereum kind of became the first one that kind of came out there and said, everyone who wants to build stuff on top of ours, you can build on top of our platform. This was done mainly because, once again, Ethereum had set out in their timeline for things that were going to be done that by 2017, they were going to have Ethereum 2.0. And Ethereum 2.0 was going to allow them to have at least 10,000 transactions per second. We didn't even get into the discussions of a 100,000 or a million transactions per second. And it was the idea that by 2018, 2019, we'd have Ethereum 3.0. Everything would be completely good. Absolutely amazing. And we had so many different projects being built on top of Ethereum that only one of them actually, it didn't crash it, but you can say like it crashed the network. It was called CryptoKitties. It was a place where you could trade, not joking, a place where you could trade images of digital cats. And there was so much activity on there that it completely slowed down Ethereum. And that was not even taking into account the other hundreds of projects that had been built on top of Ethereum. The point to be made is that the sentiment around the entire thing was that this is it. Ethereum's going to upgrade. It's going to be the coin. And it got to the point where we had discussions, many discussions over many weeks about something called the flippening. If you've been here for a while, you know exactly what that is. Ethereum got dangerously close to Bitcoin's market cap. And a lot of people were asking if Ethereum was going to flip Bitcoin in price, and therefore Bitcoin would have become the altcoin. This is how it was in the past. It says, but huge returns usually come with equal risks, despite what many projects would tell their users. This has been touched upon in recent times with Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin, the latest to speak on the topic. So when I talk about the actual rhyming of what's been going on before in the past, is that, and I'll show you as well, this is where it gets kind of creepy, because around this same exact time, 3 years ago, as we just entered into the summer, a lot of people were releasing their coins, and this was happening, and this was so and so. This is why it says a lot, promising 100% returns, even payouts. It doesn't even matter. Everyone assumed that everything built on top of Ethereum was going to be a winner. Why? Because Ethereum itself was a winner. Ethereum started the year at $8, and at this point, I think it was around $200, somewhere around there. So already exponential increase. And the idea was, if we're going to be able to go from 15 transactions per second to 10,000 transactions per second, and everyone in 2017 was trying to beat the elusive 60,000 transactions per second, which is what Visa and MasterCard had. And if you could beat those or even come close to it, you were going to be the coin of choice, because at that point we were only discussing the Lightning Network for Bitcoin, and Lightning Network still now isn't hyper up and running. So Ethereum seemed to be poised to be the winner of everything. In a tweet on Saturday, Buterin spoke out on the risks that flashy DeFi projects bring to the table, one that may not immediately be apparent to newbie investors. He said, honestly, I think we emphasize flashy DeFi things that give you fancy, high interest rates way too much. Interest rates significantly higher than what you can get in traditional finance are inherently either temporary arbitrage opportunities to come with unstated risks attached. Vitalik Buterin in 2017 also made mention, a lot of people forget about this, him and Joseph Lubin, who was the other co-founder of Ethereum, realized by summertime that something was amiss. Something isn't completely right. And it was mainly, this was around the same exact time with BitConnect, many other projects. And for those of you who either didn't see my older videos, it doesn't matter. What happened is around this time, a lot of other crypto YouTubers started popping up. There were very few of us in 2015, 16, and 17, very, very few. And what happened was, as prices were going up, many new people started to make their channels. But the issue is, for those of you who don't know, I have had an email that was associated with this channel where I used to tell people, hey, send me your questions, send me whatever you're thinking about in the cryptocurrency space. And I'd maybe get about a good 12 emails per day from actual people who are watching the channel. On a daily basis, I was getting anywhere between 50 to 70. Those are not fake numbers. From companies who had created ICOs who were trying to get me to promote their ICOs on the channel. So this is why I always say, just please try not to roll into the hype. I know the idea of being able to make a 7x or a 15x on this new coin that's coming out. This is, the discussion before was ICOs, and now the entire thing is DeFi projects, and the same exact thing is going to happen. These companies contacted me, and I'm pretty sure they were contacting other cryptocurrency channels as well. They would say, if you mention us for 3 minutes at the beginning of your video, we'll give you the equivalent of $3,000 or $5,000 to be able to talk about us. And I remember looking at the emails and talking to my friends and being like, I feel like, should I do this? This is really good money. And I was like, a lot of these seem like scams. I was like, I'm going to hold off. Other channels began to do it in mass. Everyone's talking about these new coins. You got to buy this. They had coins of the day. For those of you who've been around for the last 3 to 4 years, I'm sure you remember the channels that had the coins of the day. A lot of these coins pumped completely crazy in price because they were built on top of Ethereum. They were the ICOs, and everyone thought that every single ICO was going to be an absolute monster. And a lot of these coins disappeared. Like, a lot of the founders were posting on social media, and then one day their accounts were deleted. All this money completely went, just evaporated because they were on these projects that these people had control of in a decentralized manner. It was usually just 2 people who had them, and these people ran off with 14 million, 2.5 million, all completely gone. And this is now what's happening once again. This is why, this is my opinion on this part. I mentioned before, I said it's very odd that Coinbase keeps adding coins to their platform that no one's asking for. Everyone's asking for, and I dare air quote, legitimate projects. Everyone's asking, hey, put Tron on there. Hey, put Cardano on there. Hey, why haven't you put so-and-so coin? They keep adding all these other coins, and then we read that they also had invested in these companies, so it makes logical sense that they would have listed them on their platform. However, this DeFi hype is going to really spiral out of control. And if you really want history to rhyme and repeat itself, this is what ignited the 2017 bull market. It was the hype for Ethereum, that everything on Ethereum was going to be insanely wonderful and make everybody rich. Ether itself was going to make everybody rich, and this propelled prices to the numbers that we saw before. And once again, rhyming, Vitalik Buterin and Lubin are both coming forward, and they're like, yeah, everyone needs to calm down. But in 2017, they said the exact same thing. Nobody calmed down, and that's when we got those astronomical prices, and then the subsequent mega crash. It says, while thread commenters said the interest in DeFi also brought on board new developers and investors, which overall helps the ecosystem, Buterin was forthcoming on the systemic risks at play. He said, agree, but we can't become dependent on these projects and must be mindful of the systemic risks at play. A lot of people lose focus very quickly. In the long run, I mean the long run, in 10 years, I think the market will have made sense of all these manic movements, and people will understand which coins are the most important. But right now, if we are going to, if we're looking for a catalyst for the actual next bull run, this is going to be it. Some of the benefits of DeFi projects and their ability to fully cut out middlemen, provide quick and feeless cross-border payments, and the ability to pay out interest to investors in DeFi tokens. However, focusing on price, high yields, and a general get-rich-quick mentality without properly educating and the end users on the risks involved is not sustainable. The problem is I mean, here's how it works. Cryptocurrency and many projects develop over the course of years. Prices go down because there's no hype cycle. A lot of people outside of the space don't understand the entire point of cryptocurrencies, and they only see money signs. This is why a lot of people will ask you, how do I get into Bitcoin? How do I invest in Bitcoin, as opposed to what is Bitcoin? They're not concerned with the actual technology, what Bitcoin is, how Bitcoin is helping millions of people around the world escape tyrannical dictators. They want to know how they can profit from it, how much they can make from it. And this is kind of how things go. And when you try to educate people, they usually tend to look the other way. There's a reason why I make sure to always say the words, make sure to do your own research, because I know that at least 1% of people will actually go and do it. The other 99% just simply don't care, and they sit there with this idea that they only want to use crypto to get rich. And these are the people, typically, who end up riding the market far longer than they should. The market ends up going up. At a certain point, when everyone else is like, okay, there's clearly a crash that's going to come, because crashes always come within the cryptocurrency market. These people don't crash out. By the time prices are back down, they get really upset because they didn't cash out before. And then the trend begins all over again. The entire 2, 3, 4 year trend of prices being down and everyone waiting for prices to go back up. For those of you not looking at the screen, yeah, it says what's behind high Ethereum DeFi yields. A top investor explains it's hype. It's all just pretty much hype in the market right now. These are older articles from 2017. It says how Ethereum became the platform of choice for ICO'd digital assets. This one, I'm not giving them, my thing. It says the financial tech revolution will be tokenized. This is also from May 2017, same exact time frame. This is where it's obscene what's happening again. It says Ethereum unleashed the initial coin offering craze, but it can't handle its insane success. Everyone was really piling into Ethereum, and this is also around the same exact time when Bitcoin's transactions were really getting backed up, and Ethereum's transactions were also getting backed up within the system because it's only 15 transactions per second. But then we started to get into this ICO insanity, where ICO projects were making $300 million for Gnosis. How many of you know what Gnosis is? They made $300 million. We had a couple of other coins that made $700 million. We had ICOs that were making over $1 billion. I think EOS made $4 billion. It says many ICOs are fraudulent. It says men behind two top Bitcoin rivals. It's Joseph Lubin and Garlinghouse. They came forward and told everyone, they were like, everyone needs to really calm down, because it was just this massive, huge craze. But if you really want to talk about what sparked the massive bull run, that was it. And we are on the cusp of the exact same thing happening again. Anyway, that's at least that news, because it does kind of continue on. But these are the cycles that are present in every single market, whether they be traditional and or crypto. It just so happens that within the cryptocurrency space, our boom and bust happen far more rapidly than in traditional finance. You'll typically have a 7 to 10 year run up in stocks, nice little long bull run, and then you'll have around a good 2, 3 multiple year drop down until things start rising back up again. Within crypto, we fall for about a good 2 years, 2.5 years. This has been, I think, one of the longest falls, air quotes, that we've had, even as prices are up right now. And then our upward cycles don't last for 3 years. They last for about a good 6 months. There's a massive surge, then everything comes slamming back down. Anyway, yeah, just get ready, because I mentioned this months ago. The what's it called? The writing on the wall? No, that's not it. Everything from 2017 is repeating. Every single thing. Every single thing, from people asking me, my friends, family, everybody asking me how to get into it, how to make money from it. What is so-and-so? How do I put money into this? Like, I had none of these questions in 2018, 2019. That was, no questions at all. And now, once again, it's picking up. Everybody wants to know, what are these digital currencies and how can I profit from it? And then if I'm receiving 35 questions like this, one can only assume other people are. And then that's a 35x of people who end up getting into the market. And you know the rest. Anyway, that's that news. And let's move on. Next up, the Italian Banking Association, or the ABI, announced on Thursday that its banks are willing to pilot a digital euro. ABI, which is made up of over 700 Italian banking institutions, expressed its desire to help speed up the implementation of a digital currency backed by the European Central Bank by participating in related projects and experiments. Last year, ABI set up a working group to research digital and crypto assets. The group shared 10 considerations for a digital euro in Thursday's announcement, starting with monetary stability and full compliance with the European regulatory framework must be preserved as a matter of priority. Because once again, they're creating all of these digital currencies as a way to maintain stability and strength over their actual fiat currencies, because they're doing this, I mean, partly for control, but also because of the risk of people using or switching over to decentralized platforms. And it's something as simple as people using decentralized and or cryptocurrency euros and or US dollars and not actually using stuff that's issued by the European Central Bank or the Federal Reserve. The group prioritized the need for a digital currency framework to be fully compliant with EU regulators to win the public's trust. Yeah, sure. And said banks will play a critical role in upholding that trust, but no one trusts banks anymore. In its second guideline, the group said Italian banks are working with distributed ledger technology, referencing the Sputna project. The project was an initiative by the ABI Lab to integrate blockchain to speed up the processing of interbank settlements. According to the group, a central bank digital currency would lead to future innovations to the traditional banking system like peer-to-peer transactions, machine-to-machine transactions, and the ability to manage exchange rate and interest rate risk thanks to the programmable capabilities of digital currencies. All of this is going to lead to disaster when we finally start having all of these, because we've gone over this before. We've heard the discussions in front of the Senate and in front of Congress. The discussions were, for those of you who do not remember, should there be an issue? Should there be a stock market crash? Should there be a recession? Should there be something wrong with the economy? Will you simply be able to hit a red button and slow everything down and or freeze other people's accounts to make sure that people aren't fleeing from your currency and or fleeing from the system to make things stable? And they said, yes, of course there will be. So in a completely digital future using a digital euro, if there's trouble within your economy, because these will also be free but border locked. I assume should one country have an issue, they'll be able to freeze payments and or bank accounts under the premise of whatever they're simply thinking of. I think it's interesting that Italy is trying to be at the forefront of all of this, if you kind of want to say that. We had information before. I think that France had put out the idea of doing it, but we had, as of now, not heard from Italy as far as wanting to do this. Here's the actual website, the abi.it, talking about it. These are going to come very fast. I thought it would take a bit more time, but it appears that they're really trying to get into it. It could simply also be because this is now the time for a power grab, and I always find it a shame that behind the scenes, normal people just simply don't know about all the things that are happening. I mean, like right in front of their face. But this is how it is. Let's move on. Next up, also in very popular news, very insanely popular news, with Bitcoin consolidating for nearly 6 weeks and the cryptocurrency community expecting a major move as a result, open interest in Bitcoin options have been surging across the market. This coming Friday, the 26th of June, nearly $1 billion in value worth of open interest in options, representing 60% of all options open interest, is set to expire. And when it does, it could bring about a much-needed break in the sideways price action and a steep surge in the asset's trademark volatility. Bitcoin's price has been stuck in a tight trading range for a month and a half. Several attempts to breach above the $10,000 mark have been made, but thus none far have been managed. I mean, but this is also an entirely different discussion. Who is manipulating the price behind the scenes that for some reason we simply can't seem to be able to get over or stay over 10,000 for more than about a good 2 hours. However, sellers have been unable to cause any sort of price weakness that brings the asset down to retest support below. A series of high lows has kept any uptrend intact. The lack of direction and clear trend has brought volatility to record lows, but a break is soon expected. Data shows that when Bitcoin finally breaks out of consolidation, expansion follows, pushing the price by at least 20% or more. The question now is, are we going to push up by 20% or push down by 20, bringing us roughly around $11,250? Or are we going to push down to around $7,500? It says, but first, a break is necessary. This is completely true. We keep constantly getting to these points where we have crazy volatility. The prices are rocking back and forth for a couple of weeks. And then we have sideways action. We had sideways action in 2018, I believe it was as well. The entire BSV fiasco. We've gotten to the point. Something is going to happen, and on the actual other points to be made from this article as well. We've seen that historically, it's been about a good 2.5 years, when Bitcoin futures expire, Bitcoin's price tends to surge in value. And then as the futures reactivate, become initiated, create themselves anew, Bitcoin's price tends to go down. And this is usually the discussion from many traditional financial experts that Bitcoin must in some way be correlated to the actual price of futures, which is complete nonsense. It has to do with manipulation behind the scenes of the price, trying to make it seem as if Bitcoin is correlated to the same exact thing when you have the futures price for gold and silver. It's the exact same thing. However, we know that Bitcoin is incredibly finite, so it will not always hold. However, the interest in Bitcoin futures has gone completely mental over the last couple of weeks, and should things go well, we will probably be in a position where Bitcoin will move up in price. But at this point, I'm telling all of you, if it moves down, don't be surprised. We are, once again, everyone's trying to gobble up as much of what could potentially be a new world reserve currency. And therefore, people are going to get into it and do what they can to accumulate more. Anyway, there were about 45 articles that were very similar to this. I decided to choose this one because why not? Anyway, without further ado, let's move on. Next up, the only reason why Ethereum reached $1,400 during 2016 to 2018 was undoubtedly because of ICOs. During the previous bull market, entrepreneurs tried their hand at startups, raising money by selling tokens they minted out of thin air into ICOs. This is very true, as ICOs often raised money through Ether, one of the most well-known, easy-to-use, adopted, and integrated crypto assets. The asset saw a colossal surge in demand. Here's where it gets very interesting, and really pay attention to all of this. As Avi Fellman, a trader at crypto fund Black Tower Capital, recently explained, he said the Ether all-time high price is likely a red herring. It was driven by a very specific demand. You buy Ether to place it into ICOs. No sell pressure because ICO treasuries didn't think about that. The sentiment has been echoed by other commentators such as Whale Panda. It says ICOs are now bust, with most altcoins down over 80% from their all-time highs. Ethereum thus has lost its biggest historical price catalyst. Yet this hasn't stopped a fund manager from arguing that decentralized finance, DeFi, will be the next trigger for Ethereum to embark on a parabolic rally. During the last cycle, Ethereum rallied so far and fast that it eclipsed a $100 billion market cap and was at one point threatening Bitcoin as the leading cryptocurrency. There were tons of memes. There was one, it was like you are the altcoin now. And it was really insane. Like, you can type in flippening 2017. Like, we really thought, because Ethereum's price was, like, Bitcoin, for what it's worth, went from 900 to 20,000. This is 10.5 on 11x. Ethereum went from 8 to 1,400. People thought there was no stopping Ethereum, and we assumed, all of us at some point, that Ethereum was going to pass by Bitcoin. The move, as outlined above, was largely, almost exclusively caused by ICOs. According to Joseph Todaro, managing partner at Block Tower Capital, decentralized finance will do more to catalyze a bull run in Ethereum's price than DeFi. In 2017, ICOs aided in moving Ethereum beyond 100 billion. In the next cycle, DeFi will likely push Ether to a $1 trillion market cap. A $1 trillion market cap is around 4,000% higher than Ether's current 25 billion and corresponds with around $9,000 per coin. As crazy as it sounds, Todaro isn't the first to have made such a... I mean, listen, you have to understand the amount of momentum. Pay attention to all the actual world events that are taking place with Ethereum. There's clearly something happening behind the scenes. For those of you who have not, maybe you just managed to miss all of these actual videos. Governments around the world are adopting Ethereum. And I don't mean like half adopting, like they're writing their laws and they're writing their so-and-so and they're using them for transactions and to track where oranges are going and all these other things are happening on Ethereum, not Bitcoin, on Ether. When ICOs are still being built on top of Ethereum, it may not be one of the main catalysts, but it's also causing a lot of people to also have to buy up tons of Ether to be able to activate and use and make these ICOs, et cetera, et cetera. You're also talking about the actual smart contract platforms that are also on top of Ethereum as well. And when you talk about the actual decentralized finance prospect, which is also something else completely different, this is a huge market. When you look at the actual movement in price of the other ERC20 tokens and other tokens that are already built on top of Ethereum that have been surging in price the last couple of days, we were talking about this. I said, it's very weird that all of these coins, and no one has really heard of, are also surging in price because people are buying into them as rapidly as possible, trying to make as much money as they can from these new projects that are not really new. They've been around for, some of them have been around for about a year and or some time. This causes a huge surge because people are always looking for the actual use case of these coins. If Ethereum's use case is now DeFi, people are going to start building as many DeFi projects on these things as possible. When these emails start getting sent out from these new DeFi projects to other crypto YouTubers, hey, I will give you $5,000 to talk about this coin for 3 minutes at the beginning of your video. A lot of other people are going to start talking about these coins. And when they talk about these coins, there are two crypto channels in particular. I'm thinking of them. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. They hype coins like crazy, and they're incredibly popular channels. And people are going to follow these things as well. I want to make profit. Don't you want to make money? Why aren't you talking about this? And the same exact thing will happen once again. A lot of these coins are going to completely slam down and crash in price because they're not going to be used. This is part of the hype cycle. Think about all that stuff that I just said. That's going to cause a huge amount of movement in Ethereum. You know what I'm missing? You know what I haven't mentioned yet? Can anyone say it? It's Ethereum 2.0. We haven't even discussed that in July or sometime in Q3, we're supposed to get the activated new update for Ethereum 2.0, which is supposed to give us those coveted 10,000 plus transactions per second. Ethereum's price alone is going to move based on that. You know how many projects can then be built on top of Ethereum when it's able to handle 10,000 transactions per second? We are going to push by at some point. This is me mathematically in my own head, the 1,400 mark per Ether. It's just logically going to happen at some point mathematically. When we actually get Ethereum 2.0, can anyone say it? Proof of stake. You have to have 32 Ether to be able to stake on the network. Of course, you'll be able to do this on other cryptocurrency exchanges. You'll be able to deposit it and join the staking pool, what have you. But people are going to want to start staking themselves to have their own money, to have their own security, to have their own so-and-so, to make, all this money. When you have that as well, and Ethereum in essence becomes deflationary because of the burn that's actually happening when transactions are passing through the actual network, deflationary currencies historically tend to continue rising in price. What happens when all the Ether is locked up in ICOs, DeFi projects, and then proof of stake within the actual network? You get around $9,000 plus per Ether. It's all leading to it's all converging on the exact same point in the very center. And it's an explosion in Ethereum's price at some point in the future. I can't give you an exact date, but everything is lining up. We also had news, we keep getting news consistently about the amount of addresses that are accumulating and hoarding Bitcoin, but also Ether. We had the news before. The amount of addresses that are holding over 32 Ether has completely skyrocketed. People are buying before this thing has even activated. Imagine if we get to a point where Ethereum goes from wherever it is today and ends up passing 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 US dollars. It gets back to 1,000. How do I get into this Ether? What is this Ether thing? How many Ether can I buy? People start buying fragments of Ether just to be able to say that they're actually in the market, and Ether becomes incredibly scarce. Imagine the amount of Ether. We also know that that Grayscale is also buying up tons of Ether. We are going to get to a point where we actually end up reaching these numbers. The issue is a lot of it's going to be caused by a hype cycle. And that's going to once again be the hype cycle of ICOs and DeFi projects. I think the splash back down will be cushioned a lot by the actual Ether that's going to be locked up in Ethereum 2.0. I think a lot of the coins that are sold off as a crash back down happens will simply be accumulated by the whales. When you, I can't really put this into proper words. That's a huge bee outside. It doesn't matter. It has to do with just basically rich people accumulating, and once they see and taste that they're able to, buy something for 200, get it to around $5,000 per coin, if not $9,000 per coin, and the price goes back down. They're going to start accumulating even more. This is 2017 all over again. I had previously assumed my personal numbers, for those of you who want to know, I'm estimating a $4,000 to $6,000 Ether. I see that coming during the next actual mega rise in prices. It just seems completely logical for everything that's kind of happening. Like, this is the ICO craze was something, entirely all on its own. The DeFi craze is going to blow the ICOs completely out of the water with the amount of money that's locked up in Ether, and that's still not even having the discussion of Ethereum 2.0. Nearly all the Ether is going to be locked up. There's going to be such a huge amount of Ether that just is not going to move, and the Ether that's going to be swimming around as people try to buy up as much as humanly possible because the other Ether is being burned is going to be completely insane. Yeah, all I can say is I don't want to say get ready. That sounds very crazy. The point is, if the rest of this year mimics 2017, the quarter 3 and quarter 4 are just going to be absolute madness. But by the time we rush to the beginning of next year, just be prepared. We'll of course talk about all of this if prices do decide to start spiking, because that's going to be a huge topic of discussion. Anyway, yeah, just really, just understand what's coming. Let's move on. And also, just even really like discussing it, Ethereum was probably the cause of the bull run in 2017. So if Ethereum really skyrockets, really pushes towards like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 per coin, the other top altcoins, my prediction, are going to do exceedingly well. But that crash is going to hurt after. A lot of the projects that people think are going to make it are just not, they're not doing anything. They're not going to make it. But the run up in price will be otherworldly. Let's move on. And to finish things off, there we go. 1 month after Reddit introduced 20 million users to 2 of its ERC20 tokens, Reddit has now established that its latest mission is to onboard all, pay attention, all of its 430 million users to Ethereum. As reported in May, Reddit launched a payment reward system dubbed Community Points. The payment system, which are Ethereum-based ERC20 tokens, pay attention, is designed to reward subscribed users for their contribution to the supported communities. Initially, Reddit set its gaze on only the Reddit cryptocurrency and Reddit Fortnite subreddits, both of which are home to 20 million active users. As of yesterday, Reddit announced that its new objective is to scale community points to all of its 430 active monthly users using Ethereum. Reddit intends To achieve this goal through its die-hard Reddit Ethereum subreddit users, which are totaled at 466,000 subscribers, in partnership with the Ethereum founder, Reddit is urging users with innovative scaling projects to present their best scaling solutions for consideration, specifically targeting projects that have the potential to usher community points on the mainnet for its broad user base. Participants are expected to center all projects around decentralization, scalability, and usability. I didn't even have to read any further. You get it. Everyone's betting big on Ether. Things are still, people behind the scenes, people mistake a lack of movement in price for a lack of movement and innovation of things that are actually happening within the system. People don't really realize that tons of things, not only are people accumulating massive amounts of Bitcoin and Ether, there's tons of things still being built on top of Ether, like Ether. Ether is still being locked up in many projects and ERC20 tokens and ERC this. And so, you know, there's still movement happening. It's just that you don't see the actual price moving. Do you get the significance of Reddit saying that they want to move 430 million people to using Ethereum and or ERC20 tokens, which is an Ethereum standard of coin? Well, I think the main thing that everyone is probably waiting for is what's it called? Is Ethereum 2.0. I think if we actually, if everything holds and we actually do end up getting Ethereum 2.0, this is going to be one of the craziest years that we've ever had, ever. It's going to, the minds of many will completely explode, because I don't think people really see what's coming for all of this. And I say that as honestly as possible. People still don't understand where Bitcoin is going, and people decide to buy other coins that just really are not going to be worth it. Anyway, very Ethereum heavy day, but this was all the news that was out there. So hope everyone's paying attention and investing wisely. As always, a very special thank you. I'll explain what's on the screen in 1 second. As always, a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Oscar Maldonado, Utopia569, Yasha Harari, Moonman High, XRP, The Pothead, Joshua Vineyard, Martin Stoyer, Chongololo, Tsongololo, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Animal Reader, A Bibliophobia, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Moher Maroni, Master Ventures in Thailand, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Adobo, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Nicholas Renault, One Piece, One Love, Damien Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, the third, Paxis, Nick Manja, Lavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Garner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Test Every Day, and Calscripts Leg Day, Yes to Crypto, Boating Boatface, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Arfmedic17, Bake Me a Cake, Tigera, Majonisa, On Crypto with Lionel, Crayla Michelle, URL, Bolero, Bastos, and Hold On, I Have to Sneeze. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel, and thank you all in general. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you not looking at the screen, yeah, you saw that, right? You all just saw that. Good. I'm glad I actually got that recorded. On a number of cryptocurrency websites, the prices have been really insane, and I don't know exactly what's happening behind the scenes. Before I started the video, I mean like moments before I started the video, this website in particular showed Bitcoin's price at some astronomical, really crazy level. Like it had gone up by 12% or something like that and had hit $10,400. I checked a couple of other websites, they didn't have it. And then one or two other websites also had this really weird spike in price. Like this is why I said I'm glad I got it recorded so that everyone could see it as well. Because I looked around and I was like, what just took place? I guess maybe we've stabilized. Maybe we've gotten back to the actual normal numbers, because none of that really made a lot of sense. I even have CoinMarketCap here open as well, because I was trying to figure out what was going on. Anyway, the point being, a lot of places, their price metrics looked really insane. I wouldn't be shocked if sometime during the day we end up getting news that there was a spike up, but then it was corrected, or a crypto exchange shut down, or I don't know what I was trying to say. But yeah, the crypto market is kind of all over the place. I assume that spike was something insane earlier, but then I was like, no, that can't be correct. Like, what would have catalyzed a 12-13% move in Bitcoin's price? Very up and down. Nothing really is making a lot of sense. Digibyte shooting up. Digibyte's up 12%, $5 million trading volume. You know how that is. A lot of coins don't have 100,000 trading volume. Compound Ether has $219 worth of trading volume. Omise Go is up. No real news. Maybe it's just simply hype behind the scenes. We haven't heard about the activation of the network. We've heard relatively nothing. Oh boy, yeah. Very, very interesting. Is Compound still up? Where was Compound? It's down by 6%. Less than 1 million trading volume. Is anyone surprised? Well, we'll see exactly what this trading volume is by tomorrow. Very weird time in the world. Very weird time in the cryptocurrency space. Yeah. Not really much more to say. I do hope that you all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you, really wherever you are, just enjoy it. I just try your darndest to really have a good time. Times are wacky. It's kind of all over the place, but I try to stay optimistic and hope that it's leading to something great. Because, you know, life. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.